Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Unlearning Alchemist. If you're new here, hi, I'm Ty, and this channel is all about healing, growth, and navigating life after trauma. Make sure that if you like what you're seeing, you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that little notification bell so you don't miss when I drop something real. Because I promise you, over here, we don't sugarcoat. We heal in truth and loudly. Now, today, I want to share something raw. I woke up Tuesday. And realized that I am jobless and villageless. I lost my job unexpectedly, and one day I had security, structure, a paycheck, then boom, it was just gone. And at first it felt like punishment, like, God, haven't I given up enough already? Haven't I cut off enough people? Haven't I sacrificed enough? I had already walked away from toxic family members, friends, and relationships. I had already chosen myself so many times that I felt villageless. No mom to call, no best friend to vent to, no partner holding me down, and even then, even my job taken too. Ugh, it rocked me. And I know some of y'all out there feel me, especially in this economy. We are all like almost just living paycheck to paycheck, and most of us are to the point where we are one paycheck away from being homeless or unhoused ourselves. And just by the grace of God, I was able to secure a t-shirt order. And yes, back in the day, I did used to do customization. I did t-shirts. I actually had a brick and mortar called Pictures Perfect Customizations, Creations, actually. And so it was just by the grace of God that I ended up with this order, which actually helped out a lot towards some bills and stuff that I had coming up. And at first, I thought maybe I'm being punished. Maybe healing is making my life worse, not better. Because let's be real, when you're cutting off toxic people, you lose a lot. You lose your entire village most of the time. And when you scroll and see the very people who hurt you looking like they're thriving, it stings. But here's the thing I had to sit with: healing doesn't mean bad things won't happen. Healing doesn't come with the immunity from struggle. If anything, healing guarantees you'll face seasons where you feel like you're walking completely alone. I wrote in my journal one night, what if healing isn't about everything going right, but about who I become when everything goes wrong? And y'all, that cracked something open in me, because when I really looked at it, every time life knocked me down before, I used to run back to exes, back to the toxic family members, back to the bad coping mechanisms, back to the bottles, back to the bags, back to the habits that numbed me. But this time I didn't spin the block. And that, my loves, is resilience. Not that I didn't cry, not that I didn't feel numb, not that I didn't feel like giving up, but that I refused to run back to the very things God had already told me weren't for me. So here's the educational piece I want to take away. Healing will often leave you with a smaller village, or sometimes no village at all, because true healing isn't about gathering more people around you. It's about stripping away what's fake, so you know what's real and can remain. That's why so many of us feel lonely during this season. But listen to me, loneliness is not the same as being abandoned. Sometimes it's just the silence your soul needs to grow without interference. I want you to reflect on this in your own healing journey. Have you mistaken loneliness for punishment? Do you find yourself comparing your path to the people who hurt you? And when the numbness creeps in, what's your first instinct? To cope in old ways, or to sit in the comfort and discomfort and choose differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear from you, because your story could be the exact thing another person scrolling through needs today. So yeah, I lost my job and I'm villageless. But you know what I gained? A deeper understanding that my worth isn't tied to stability, money, or how many people are clapping for me. Healing showed me that resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about knowing who you are when pain hits. It's not pretty. It's not Instagram worthy. And yes, sometimes you feel punished, but it's not punishment. It's pruning. When you cut away what no longer serves you, your life starts trimming the rest too, because you're being reshaped into who you are always meant to be. And pruning feels like loss, but it's really preparation. If you're on this journey and you feel numb, if you're questioning why you've lost so much, if you're watching your village disappear, let me remind you, you're not alone, and you're not being punished. You're being positioned. I want you to journal on this tonight. What would resilience look like for me if I refuse to run back to the things that I've already healed from? I want you to sit with that. And if this resonated, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because this journey is ongoing, and I want you here right with me while we keep unlearning together. And to be honest, you know what else I realized? Healing feels like punishment because we were conditioned to think struggle equals failure. Like if everything isn't smooth, we must be doing something wrong. But nah, struggle is proof you're moving. Think about the gym. You don't grow muscle without resistance. Healing is the same. Resistance doesn't mean you're cursed. It means you're building strength. So let me ask you, are you confusing resistance with punishment in your own life right now? Are you looking at what's being stripped away as loss instead of preparation? And even with the being villageless, I also had to realize that that one hurt the most, because let's be real. We've been fed this idea that if you're healing, your tribe is suddenly going to show up. Your people are going to clap for you. Everyone is going to rally. Nah, sometimes your healing means silence. But let me flip that for you. What if being villageless is actually your training ground? What if the absence of a crowd is what's teaching you to clap for your own damn self, to celebrate your small wins even when nobody's watching? Because here's the truth. If you can't validate yourself in the quiet, you'll always go back to toxic people just to feel seen. So let me ask you, how do you show up for yourself when no one else is clapping? And then I even had to think about the not spinning back the block for old habits. I'll be honest, I had moments where the old coping mechanisms were calling my name. That text I could have answered, that number I could have dialed, that little voice saying just one drink, just one bottle, just one bag, but just one more chance. But I had to stop and ask myself, Ty, do you really want temporary comfort or permanent peace? And I think some of y'all need to sit with that too. When life knocks you down, what's your first instinct? To go back to the thing that broke you, or to sit still and let yourself feel it without numbing out? Because resilience isn't about being happy, it's about choosing to not go backwards when forward feels lonely. And listen, healing is going to make you feel numb sometimes. That's normal. That numbness is your body saying, I'm overwhelmed and I need a minute. Don't mistake it for failure. Don't mistake it for being broken. That's your nervous system learning to regulate. That's growth in disguise. So when you feel numb, instead of spinning the block or beating yourself up, ask yourself, what does my body need right now? Rest, water, a walk, a journal page, a hike. That's the work. That's how you stay in the healing instead of running from it. Because healing ain't never about failing. It's about building the muscle memory to get back up every single time. Now, I was able to secure an interview, so I'm going to go do that and see what happens. I unfortunately did not get the job. It just wasn't the right fit for me or my purpose and what I'm going for within life. So I decided not to go with it. And yes, in this economy, it is kind of hard to sit there and say that turned down a job. But for the most part, I felt as though like it was more of a locally owned place. And I don't have good experiences with locally owned businesses. I love small businesses and I love to actually support them, but as far as working for them, I've never had a good rapport with them, and I really don't have the time or the energy to be stressing my schedule or my checks. So I just decided that I would just keep looking, because I am looking for something a little more long term up until I can get my actual business and clinic off the ground. So with that being said, anyway, like I said, this journey is all about resilience, and to be able to build that long term stability and comfort that I am looking forward to within the next 2 or 3 years, because I do have a 5 year plan. I just decided that I would continue on my job hunt. But we're going to talk about old coping mechanisms, and I just want y'all to sit here, and I want to thank you real quick for being here and supporting the page today, and for also choosing yourselves, because I know healing, it can be overwhelming sometimes. And I want to thank you for being here instead of running to old coping mechanisms, because that's where a lot of us get tripped up. Healing isn't just about cutting people off, it's about cutting off behaviors too. That late night overthinking, the emotional eating, the smoking, the drinking, the overworking, the fake smiling. I had to start asking myself, is this helping me heal or just helping me hide? And if it's only helping me hide, it's not really helping. So I'm curious, what's your hiding habit? And what's one tiny way you can replace it with a healing habit this week? Because, the healing is all about starting with small goals. It's all about rewiring your nervous system in little small ways every day. And one of the hardest parts of losing everything is realizing how much of my identity was tied up in things that could be taken from me. My job, my relationships, my family. And when it was all gone, I had to sit with the real question, who am I when I have nothing left to prove to anyone? That's when I started redefining success. Success for me isn't the paycheck, it's peace. It's how many people I can gather. It's not how many people I can gather, it's how deeply I can love myself. It's not how busy I can be, it's how present I can be. I want you to think about that too. What's your definition of success outside of what the world says? Like no one was watching. What would actually make you proud of yourself? Now, I also won't lie, this journey will also test your faith. Whatever you believe in, God, the universe, your higher self, healing will push you to trust something bigger than yourself when you feel like you're drowning. I had to keep reminding myself, just because I don't see the plan doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because this chapter feels messy doesn't mean the book is trash. So here's a journal prompt for you as well. Where in my life do I need to release control and trust the process? Write it down. Be brutally honest with yourself, because that's where healing lies, in the brutal honesty and self-awareness that lies within us all. Something else that saved me was a lot of gratitude. Not the fluffy fake kind, but the greedy real kind. Like, yeah, I lost my job, but I still woke up today. Yeah, my family's toxic, but I'm breaking the cycle for my daughter. Yeah, I feel alone, but I'd rather be alone in peace than surrounded in chaos. And that's gratitude. It's finding light even when the room feels dark. And the more I practice that, the more I realize healing isn't just about what you lose, it's about what you gain along the way. So let me ask you this: what's one small win you can celebrate today, even if everything else feels heavy? And honestly, one thing I realized that with this week, with this test, with this trial, is that I struggled the most with control. I wanted to manage everything, how people treated me, how stable my job was, how my healing looked from the outside. But healing forced me to accept I can't control the storm. I can only control how I stand in it. Sometimes the reason we feel punished is because we're clinging so hard to what's being stripped away instead of asking what's being made room for. So let me flip this back on you. What's one thing you're trying too hard to control right now? And what would happen if you loosened your grip, even just a little? And let me be real with y'all. I've spun the block back before. I've gone back to the ex, back to the friend I swore I cut off, back to the job that drained me. And every time I thought maybe this time it will be different. But it never was, because you can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Healing is drawing that line in the sand and saying, I may feel lonely, I may feel broke, I may feel numb, but I refuse to go backwards. 0%. I want you to reflect. Where in your life are you tempted to spin the block? And what would happen if you stayed firm instead? And one thing I feel that we don't talk about enough is how much healing feels like grieving. Because the old you, she dies. That version of you who tolerated abuse, who ignored red flags, who kept the peace at her own expense, she doesn't exist anymore. And grief comes with sadness. You might miss her sometimes. You might miss how easy it was just to smile through pain or sweep things under the rug. But guess what? She had to go because she wasn't built to carry where you're headed. So here's a journal prompt for you as well. What part of my old self am I grieving, and how can I honor her while still letting her go? And let's talk about triggers before we leave off, because that's such a good, important part of healing. Healing doesn't erase them. You can be years into your journey, and something small, a song, a smell, a comment, can pull you right back into that wounded place. But here's the difference: healing teaches you how to respond differently. The old me would have lashed out, shut down, or gone running back to what hurt me. The me now, I pause, I breathe, I ask myself, what's the truth here? Am I reacting to the present or to the past? That's the work, not perfection, but progress. So I ask you, what's one trigger you've noticed recently, and how can you handle it differently next time? And then I also had to realize, here's the thing about being villageless: it's not forever. Healing clears out the fake, but it also makes space for the real. I've learned that the right people, the healthy ones, the ones aligned with where I'm headed, they can't show up while the wrong ones are still in the front row. It takes time, it takes patience, but eventually the right people will meet you where you are. So don't let loneliness trick you into believing you're meant to walk alone forever. Instead, ask yourself, what kind of village do I actually want to build? And am I becoming the type of person who could sustain that village? And I'm going to leave you off with this. Sometimes what feels like rock bottom is really just the foundation. You think you're being buried, but you're actually being planted. Losing my job felt like the end, but it really was an opening. Cutting off toxic people felt like death, but really it was life starting over. So I want you to sit with this. What if your rock bottom isn't your ending, but the exact soil your new life needs to grow? And I want to thank you all for being here and coming to heal with me today as we walk hand in hand through this journey together. Stay blessed, stay healing, and stay resilient, my friends. And see you on the next episode of The Unlearning Alchemist. Now, even though we talk about serious topics in a not so serious way, your mental health should always be taken seriously. So, if you or a loved one that you know are suffering a mental health crisis, please reach out to the free resources and lifelines that I have provided here at the end of this video. I want to thank you again for being here and for sharing not only your journey with me, but your healing. You are so amazing. You are so loved, and you are so special. Please never forget that. Again, thank you and have an amazing week, Alchemist.